We are recording.
Let's call this budget meeting to order.
Okay, you guys. You better
Let's call this budget meeting to order. Flag salute. Ready, begin.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, and I don't know anybody ready.
I'm Brenda.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah, we need a secretary.
yeah.
There's the people that are already up there.
Okay.
And then you got the new gentleman, and you gotta get his name.
Okay. Ken,
Here.
Tom, Ann,
Here.
Larry,
Here.
and the new gentleman,
Rick Sherman.
Rick Sherman.
There's Tammy also. I don't believe that was said.
Tammy.
Yeah.
Here.
Tammy was calling. Tammy's here.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
So what do we want to do? We have to vote in a
We
president
need
and vice
the
president?
board member
Oh, all right.
also.
JR,
Kent will, yes, sir.
yeah, Jerry,
Here.
Brenda.
Yeah.
What's the name?
Alan.
Alan,
Here.
and Bill Stark here, and Steve Rhodes.
Here. So before we start, we have a new budget committee member who wasn't ever voted in at one of our meetings, so I think it was proper for us to vote him in.
Okay.
And that's Rick Sherman, who came down here and volunteered. Pastor Rick, you guys know him from the church?
Okay.
I didn't actually know he had a last name.
I didn't either. Sherman, actually.
Sherman? Sherman.
So,
I make a motion to vote him in.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any noes?
um, usually at this time, you guys need to make an organization of some sort. Well, we need it, it doesn't, so there's some ground rules. Oh, wait a second, I got the wrong thing here. That's the calendar. Anyway, the ground rules are this committee, everybody's equal. There's 10 people, 5 people from the community and 5 people from the board, and I'm not a voting member. And so it's up to you guys as a committee to choose a president, vice president, secretary, just for the duration of the committee. It doesn't have to be a board person.
What's the difference between the president and the budget officer?
Well, he's the budget officer, so he started the meeting off, but
He's a board member.
he's also just a board member here, yeah.
So after the president of the budget starts, then he runs the meeting.
Right.
Yeah. Brenda, would you be our secretary again?
I'd be delighted to do that.
Okay, I nominate Brenda for
She's
secretary.
She's really
Second.
good at it.
We need a vote?
We have a vote on Brenda. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Noes? How about a president?
Didn't you do it last year?
You want to do it again, Ken? Sure. Okay, I make a motion to make Ken the president.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Ken, you're up.
I should have done him first, probably.
Yeah.
So do we actually need a vice president or no?
Well, in case you're not here for the next meeting, vice president would take over, I would
True
think.
that.
We have a volunteer.
I'll do it. Well, somebody should nominate me, probably.
I nominate Anna.
I nominate you. I'll second.
We need a vote.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed? Motion carries.
We did it.
Are we ready for the budget information sheet?
Yeah,
We've got a budget calendar.
so the,
Add it.
So we did talk about the ground rules, so you guys, everybody's equal. Take six to approve the budget, regardless of how many people are here. Once we have a budget committee attend, since we do have a full committee. Anybody, as far as I'm concerned, anybody can say anything you want, anytime you want. Your vote's as good as ours, you're all the taxpayers in the district, and I'm one too, absolutely. Let's see, we can talk, you want to talk about the calendar, Mr. President?
Just-
I'll
This
try
one?
it, oh, that's just what I agree what I did.
Did everybody get a copy of it?
Tonight, May 6th is the first meeting, so those are all the things we do. And the computer just went away.
We've elected our chairman, a vice chairman,
Yeah.
a secretary.
We're going to accept the budget calendar, the remainder of it. I just want to let you know that before this meeting occurred, the notice was in the newspaper on or before April 21st, and it was on the website, right, Jerry?
Yes.
Okay.
I saw it on Nextdoor too. I
Yes.
did
It
too.
was on next door, all right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Man, we're getting big. So the next thing to do with that is around May 23rd, we'll publish a notice for the budget hearing June 12th. But until that time, that's about it for the calendar of our next meeting.
We've got a line item there, accepts remainder of budget calendar. Is that basically the outline that you just presented
Right.
for us?
Right.
Okay.
I'm trying to get it up here if I could. I'm trying to escape, drop this down, find a budget calendar around here somewhere.
Did everyone get a copy of the proposed budget for 19 and 20?
Got it.
Okay.
So I guess, is the calendar good for everybody? For the rest, May 20th will be our second meeting. If everything goes well, then you can approve the budget that night. If something's wrong, then we can go till the 27th, would be the third meeting.
Which is Memorial Day.
Oh, yeah, really?
Yeah, it is.
Okay, so we need to not approve the current budget then.
Calendar, you know.
Calendar.
Calendar.
We probably
Unless-
approve-
unless
we
you
probably
just-
change the date, if we
Yeah.
change the date now,
Yeah.
and then we can approve it and just change
And
the date.
repost it, okay. Anybody good on a third date, the last week of May?
Does it need to be the last week of May?
It would just have to be before June 12th, actually.
You can do May 27th or June 3rd.
May
June.
The 27th is Memorial Day.
Okay. We got the 6th and the 20th, I'm showing, right?
Doing about 2 weeks to June 3rd?
Does it need to be a Monday?
No, we just did that because that was days that people seem to be able to do it.
Well, how about the 28th? Because that's
Tuesday the
just-
28th?
Yeah, that's only a week after, and this is just if we don't get our work done on the 20th.
Right.
Would that work?
So the third meeting,
Then we're not pushing it into June.
Yeah,
go the 28th or the 3rd?
28th.
28th,
28th, May 28th, okay,
if needed.
correct.
Sorry about that. May 20.
Okay, Tuesday, May 28th, because the meeting is at 7 p.m.
That one was
No, it's
not.
the line above, isn't it?
No,
The last
Schedule.
meeting of 5.
Yeah, the last line of 5, scheduled third meeting if needed.
right.
And then also this one here too. And then, and then that one was outside of the date for the notice, so.
So it'd be Tuesday.
It's Tuesday instead of Monday.
Or Tuesday, May 28th. I guess I don't have to put a Tuesday there. Well, that was a great start. Okay. All right.
Do you want to change it on line 6 also, or Tuesday, May 28th?
I'm not gonna put Tuesday
No,
because it's gonna
okay.
mess it all up.
All right,
It's May 28th.
so you can
Okay.
say that.
So, I'm no good at this, Libra 5 here, Jerry, so
So
I
the
just have to
amended,
keep it
do you
down.
need to change the amended date at the bottom?
sure. That sounds like a great idea. This isn't my computer either, this is station's. My daughter's using mine tonight for homework.
That's a lame excuse.
I liked it. I was gonna use it myself later.
Okay, so, anyway, that's the calendar stuff, right?
Okay. Do we have a calendar that seems workable for everyone? Steve, would you like to give us
Oh,
a presentation?
Do we need to accept that calendar first?
You mean in terms of the motion?
Do we need a motion, Steve, to accept the calendar as amended?
I think so.
Yes.
Okay,
To make a motion, to accept the calendar.
Second.
the motion's been made to accept the emendations to the calendar. It's been seconded. All those in favor? Say aye. Opposed? Motion carried. Okay.
Copy of the notice. It's on our website too. In case anybody wanted it. The budget message. So did you, everybody get a copy?
Mhm.
So, I'm just gonna go over because I have one in my hand here, but, so this is the, proposed budget. Went to budget officer over there first.
We should probably turn off our cell phones
That's not mine.
and kill mine. And just put it in airplane mode. Let's put it in the ground.
So, very similar last year, so this year's budget, well, if you guys can review the first part, it's the same as last year, so I'm submitting it to the budget committee. As a result of Measure 50, the taxable assessed valuation for the property is limited to a maximum of 3% annual increase after 1997. So where we get the assessed value for the district is these lovely forms on the Douglas County Assessor's Office. So they show for 2008, 19, the taxable assessed value was $136,698,697. If you guys want to look at that, it's wonderful. So 3% for our budget, we will go to 3% of that. So I'll talk about that in a second, but we'll show it. And that actually brings it up to about 140 million. The exact figures will be there, but we're going to base it on a 3% growth. That seems to be the last couple of years it actually worked best when we're trying to estimate taxes. It's really hard. I don't know, we've been through this process several times now. I know Kent, a long time ago, we went, not a long time ago, but we went before now. So here we are right in the middle of last year's budget. The taxes aren't all in, and we're trying to predict what's going to happen next year and everything else. So we do that. So this budget includes money for the new Engine 1031 again, which is a FEMA grant, plus the SCBA's, and plus a VFA grant for next year. Now, we're in the process right now of doing all those grants this year, but they have not been let yet or anything, or not. Nobody knows if we got them or not. So what I have to do every year is keep on planning as if we didn't get it, so we'll be ready for next year. If we do get them this year, then those just disappear off the budget. And you can look at your past budgets, like the 16-17 budget and the 17-18 budget. If you look in the grant areas, all the FEMA stuff disappeared, and all we have down there is the VFA grant, because that's the only grant we got, which is on the second page. So that'll happen again. So we're trying to get $524,000 for the engine and the SCBA's, and I have a better breakdown later on, and about almost $19,000 for the VFA grant, which is the same thing we've been getting the last couple of years. For capital projects, we have a continuum of minor asphalt maintenance, an exterior carport shelter, and I'll talk about that, but mainly that's for if we get the state disaster equipment, we're gonna have to shelter it, just to have it covered over it. A new AED for our brush truck, we don't have one on that, and that's our second up medical aid unit now. And then emergency backup power system. Emergency backup power system, I got a bid from Alan Saban, he's a pretty well-known electrician on here. About $18,000 for a dual fuel one that's a LP gas and natural gas. So I'm applying for a $9,000 matching grant through whatchamacallit, these guys. The ones I sent you the information on. I just had it.
Do you know what the wattage is?
He came and did it. I don't have the written bid yet.
But it's
he came
enough to
and did
run the
it.
station?
Yeah, everything in the station. So, who is that? That's not the Farm Bureau, it's the other one.
The co-op?
Let's do the rural, for rural America. I got it in here somewhere. Anyway, so their matching grant would be $9,000, and there might be a possibility we could get the whole thing as a, due to our size and limitation as a gift. But anyway, that's included in there as a grant. So, I know Pastor Rick hasn't been here before, but as a special district, we have to have a general fund, an equipment reserve fund, and a grant fund. We're a nonprofit, so if we don't spend money, we're not supposed to bank money unless we're saving it for the future, which is why we move money into the equipment fund each year for a future, because that's where all our needs are going to be in the future. The district, again, we've been doing an in lieu of audit as long as we spend less than $150,000 a year. I continue to budget for a comprehensive full audit, because if we do get any of the FEMA grants, then we'll be required to do a full-blown audit. And I've been budgeting around $3,000 for that, I believe. That's in there tonight. And that's about that. That's the budget message. I'm going to tell you, as we go through, I'll go off my budget message. We have some increases this year from the county. They've started adding some fees to us for our dispatch fees and stuff, but we're gonna find that as we go through. You can see just overall, right at the beginning, the total materials and services we're up this year. We're still under what we bring in, but we're up as far as the price for the money that I am proposing to spend anyway. So, we just used to start on the budget and go through, right?
Yep.
All right. So, let's see, the justifications. I only have 2 or 3 copies of these, but if you guys want to share some. Sure. No, we can turn on. We could probably get back to 0. You guys might want, I don't know if you want to share these back to you.
Well, it looks like it's, yeah, it doesn't do it across the room.
Well, that's better than nothing, I guess. But we'll put them off the screen. I'll try to go through them on each way. Just like these here. Yeah.
If you want to phase it up, you could use some of these mouse pads.
Okay, let me see if let's see this here. I'll go there, and we'll try to go to full view again. Cut it out. What happened there?
What are you trying to do?
Tammy's a whiz at that.
I'm trying to go to full view. There it is, right there, okay. And this is Libra, so anyway, I don't know if that's going to help anybody or not. Anyway, if you have one in front of you, so this is the proposed taxes for this year. I'm trying to compare from last year to, let's see, okay, I'm trying to compare in most of these things from last year to this year. So last year's actual taxable valuation in our district was 136,690. Get 3% increase, which goes to 140,799,658. And to find our tax district, our tax, the actual tax that the county bills, you multiply that by our rate of 0.0005077, which ends up being 50 cents per thousand if you take all the zeros off. And that comes out to 71,484. Now that'd be really nice if we got $71,484, but we don't. Because in the counties, or the state Department of Revenue has a list showing what they collect out of Douglas County every year. And out of Douglas County, they collect 92.8% of the taxes, the tax money. So we have to we subtract that from it, 4,432, and we come up with a revenue of 67,052 for next year. Last year, it was about 65,333. So there's a little bit more. I will say we have about 5, 6, 7 new dwellings in the area. There's more coming in all the time. So, and also Mark Bennett, we annexed him in, which is probably one of the most highest assessed houses in our district. And so I anticipate that we're going to get that 67,000 this year coming up. You also have to remember that if you guys pay your taxes on time, like all the rotten taxpayers do around here, they get a discount, so it ruins our totals further. I forget, what do we get, 3% off? I forget what happens when I pay my
What does happen?
We get
Is it 10% or?
I think you get 10% off. Anyway, yeah.
Is it 3?
I think so.
Somewhere in that 6.2%, which we don't collect, this doesn't disappear. It's somewhere floating around out in there, and so we get that back over the years with interest. So this year we actually got quite a bit because a few houses must have sold and they did some liens or something on them, and we got those this year. But it usually averages around $2,000, $2,200 a year. So we add that in, and we get a general tax fund revenue of $69,252 on the budget. Is that right? So that's it over there on the right side under proposed. You can look back in the past and see what the past ones have been and how it kind of relates to it all. Is there any questions on that? The next one is other income that we derive. We get a little bit of other income. Tax interest, the interest that we get is usually about $40, $45 a year, not too much money. We bring in donations around $250 a year. We've actually budgeted for more in the past, and budgeted for less in the past, and 250 seems to be pretty good. And if you look back at 17-18, it's 1,268 we got. That also includes a rebate that we got from SDAO, which I had nowhere else to put it in those categories, so it was about $1,000, so we put it into donations just so it would be in the other revenue section. So 250 is probably it for donations. $740 we're estimating this year for billing for accidents. And then we also, every year we get, Douglas Electric gives us our little refund. All you guys that lived here a long time have been getting that refund, right? Ours is usually about $140. No sale of assets. Grants this year, I have down about a $500 estimate for a safety and security grant from SDAO. We don't know what it's going to be yet. We've been successful in getting it the last couple of years. And I put that amount down because the maintenance contract on our security cameras is going to be about that amount per year. And if they do another safety and security grant for that much, I'm going to try to get that paid for us. And then the second part would be the matching grant from the USDA, that's what I'm talking about.
Department of Ag.
Department of Agriculture, $9,000, and that'd be a matching grant for the emergency power. So that all adds up to $10,535. If you look on your thing, that's total other revenue. So along with the projected starting revenue, which is right at the very top, and that's, right now, we're sitting about $97,000, excuse me, $97,000 plus a $25,000 contingency in our general fund right now, and I'm going to be transferring the budgeted amount that we had approved into the equipment fund here before the 1st of July, which was $43,000. So at the beginning of the year, with the utility expenses and what we have left for the year, we should have about $74,000 in the general fund when we start the next fiscal year. So if you add that in with our tax revenue and stuff, our revenue, our total revenue, our resources in the general fund will be about $154,685 projected. We're financially sound right now. And
Steve,
yeah,
the non-tax funds, under revenue, 1718, is that from fire?
that was 1718. We actually, the Horse Prairie Fire, they paid our department for the unit and the manpower, so that came in as a revenue that was totally unexpected and not normal. Happens every once in a while. Communications, this is the first area where you're going to see a little different this year. I tried to put down at the bottom of these things a little bit about what last year was to try to compare, and now I'll try to this last year. Did I give away mine? I did.
What are you looking for?
I gave it back there, it's okay. So the 9/11 call center this year, the county has initiated they usually go about 10% per year for dispatching this. So this year, they have redid a whole program here and decided, just like everything else in the county, the dump and everything else, that they're going to charge us a flat fee of $1,500 a month if we have less than 200 calls a year, which we do, and many of our volunteer departments do. Some of the big paid departments, like Roseburg and them, are going up to $50,000 a year, 404,000 actually. Roseburg's paying, Sutherland's paying 50. Winston's paying 93,000.
What is
It
that
was
for?
totally unexpected. Well, what they're posturing, right? I'm sorry, I don't want to be political. The county is looking at this public safety grant coming up to fund the sheriff's department for $2.39 per thousand, and they're selling that on the fact that they're going to take the actual county taxes we pay and put them on the roads like they're supposed to, and put them at all the other places that we're supposed to use county taxes. So they're calling this a maintenance fee, going out with all the PERS and the employees' budget and how our dispatch affects the sheriff's department. But they want paid flat, so nothing comes out of the general fund. So they're saying that's the amount of money it's going to take to do that. And it's a maintenance fee, there's no new service, there's not repairing anything, it's just a maintenance fee.
So will it be an actual or an estimated?
It's they're gonna charge us $1,500 a year plus a $300 maintenance fee on top of that. So it'll be $1,800 a year, which, if you compare to last year, was, we were right at 1,300 or 1,200 and something like that. 70, so it's quite a step up for us.
Yeah.
And then, to add, I don't know, it became a comedy, but then they said, okay, then you have three options. You can pay 0 next year, 100% the next year, and 200% the next year on your increases, or you can pay 30% next year, 60% the next year, 100% the next year. So nobody knows what we're gonna get billed. We're gonna get billed here, they're usually due around November, and I just wanna let you know that's coming. So that does increase, that was a major portion of this, increased that part of the budget, communications. The batteries and pagers and radios are all about the same. It's been working out pretty much exactly the same. We continue to budget for a portable radio at $400. I did not buy one this year because none of ours failed. I will say this, that Roseburg has 6 surplus public radios it looks like we're gonna get for free. If that happens, that's going off the budget, but that's coming soon. I continue to budget for one additional pager. Some folks don't have cell phones and all that, because we are switching to this active 911, which uses our cell phones to dispatch us. And their price went up about $2 this year per person. So when you add that all up, it's about $2,890, and that is roughly $600 more than last year, and that's from the county dispatch fees. Hopefully, it's going to stay at that. I'm not going to say it. Hopefully, it's going to stay there for a couple of years. But I really don't know if that public safety fee does not pass. I'm not sure what they're going to do next. It's really hard to find out, figure out. Is there any questions on that one?
What's at the bottom of the page? You said fiscal year 18, 19.
It's
Was
just,
that just for
I'm
comparison?
comparing last year's, yeah, like last year's, it's just for a comparison for last year,
Okay.
to see whether it went up or down. And I just went back to the same one. Get out of here. This is going. The next one is publications of legal notices. It's up a little bit again also. We actual notices and stuff this year, I think we did a little bit more, and it was up a little bit. What is going to happen this year that we did not pay for, next year that we did not pay for this year, was an election. And even though this election occurs in May, it actually gets billed in July of the next fiscal year. So that's an additional $500 on top right there. And our budget hearing and meeting notifications actually were about $40 or $50 more than what we had predicted last year. So that is $1,226 for that section. Excuse me, $1,225. Is there questions on that one? So I don't know if you guys know that, but we pay for elections in our district. If it's something to do with us, we pay for it. I don't know how it'd be nice to figure out someday how they figure out what amount you pay. Going into professional services, which is 6002 on your thing. Let's see, it's going to be actually just a little bit cheaper last year. The contract with Wheeler County, there's a line here, it should be, is about $500, and that's for our entry into our QuickBooks, plus she writes the checks for us. Annual review and auditing for the state is around $50 if we do the in lieu of audit. And I budgeted $2,500. We had somebody say that a few years ago. That probably, it might be a little bit low, but if we do have to do a full-blown audit, it'll be around $2,500. Physician advisor, we have the physician advisor, the emergency room director at Mercy Hospital is our physician advisor, and all of our emergency medical responders in Douglas County, our EMTs, everybody operate under her license. So they charge a fee for everybody, which I guess helps for their liability insurance and all that kind of stuff. So as long as we're doing medical, we, if she bills us, we pay her. That's our share. I'm sure she bills the ambulance companies a lot more money. Background checks, we were required to do background checks from, for DPSST now for state certification. We get some free ones from SDAO, but if I have to do more, I budget for a few more. We've been running over every year. And office assistant, you guys know we hired Patricia Nelson as a contracted office assistant. She's working 6 hours a month. And it's adding up to $1,296. That's been working out pretty well. She's got the training records and incident reports going fine. In fact, we were catching up with them, and we're just about caught up with them now. So she's took that off my back, and that's been really appreciated. Now I got to get her to straighten out the files. We got a lot of stuff to throw away. So anyway, is there any questions about those? And so we're doing 1099s for her at the end of the year, and she's a contracted. She is an accountant, has her own business, and she just got her bachelor's degree in accounting. She works for Bigfoot Beverage. She's like the administrative assistant or something.
Steve, is the 6 hours a month working out?
Yeah.
You don't think it needs to be raised?
Not at this time. I think we've actually started catching up with what was behind, so I'm pretty good with that, I think. I kind of told this to Jerry before we started tonight. There was some other things we've been talking about in our recent meetings, like going to iPads on the units, like some of our dispatch people do, and that kind of stuff. And when we're doing this budget, the fact of the matter is we're only dealing with $60-some thousand. And discretionary income, we probably only have 10,000 or 15,000. When you start talking about insurance and maintenance and fuel and their utilities and all that kind of stuff. So some of that stuff is really nice to have. But when we start talking about those iPads, it's going to, and the mounting and the equipment for it's going to be $2,500 a unit plus your internet fee every month per unit, and it was ended up being. I can't in good conscience do that. I don't want to pay for it, so I'm not going to. In the future, if we can get a grant or to pick up something for that, we'll try to do it. Or else we'll beg. Maybe they'll give us something free. Some of our friends around here. Next one up is 6003's insurance. This is one of our major things every year. We're still through SDAO and SDIS. Our property liability policy this year was at 71.75. They're estimating about 7% again. And their reason was that the exposure that everybody had to the Northern California fires last year. I don't know if that's true, but it sounds good. However, we have about 6%. We get a 10% discount annually through their best practices program. We're at 6% right now, just by the associations we enter and the training we go to and stuff. I have a class Wednesday I got to go to up in Cottage Grove again. But by the end of the year, we should get a 10% discount on the liability part of that insurance. SDAO estimate for workers' comp is around $2,500, but the invoice they actually sent us, I think it's going to be a little less than that. We have a really good exposure record around here, so that's actually not an increase from last year. That's pretty good. Wait a second. So we're about $600 up. What happened? Oh, supplemental health. The supplemental health we pay for employees around here. It's a life insurance, death benefit, and then some of our volunteers don't have health insurance. That's the way it goes. I don't know if some of you are the same way, but so in the past we made a commitment as a department to pay just an accidental death and dismemberment thing. It's actually a supplemental on top of what you have, or else if you don't have anything, that's all they have. So also this year they added an employee assistance program into that for drug abuse counseling, all this stuff. It's a national program through the insurance company, but they So you do some initial phone contact, and then they refer you to local counselors and marriage counselors, financial counselors, that kind of stuff, stuff that would affect their ability to do the job here. It's actually a benefit. They increased this year. So I think that benefit, we were looking at a way, it also has CISD, the critical incident stress counseling, that kind of stuff in it. So we actually were looking at a way to do that, and they came out with it. So we've also been paying MedCom for our volunteers. MedCom, not all of them take, not all of them take advantage of that, but so it's about $975. So there is a slight increase in insurance this year, and it's running about $600, and that was basically the increase in liability and the supplemental health. I'm going fast enough. We're up a little bit in office supplies. I'll explain why in a second. But office equipment, that IT resolution we have going tomorrow night, every year we budget for stuff that can break down, but it's not real expensive. So like we're talking about the monitor, the projector here, and other equipment like that. So we've been budgeting about $700 a year for that. We didn't use it this year at all. Nothing's broke down yet, thank goodness. Office furniture, we're going to do some shelving work in that front office this year. We've got enough file cabinets and chairs now, and we need to clean that up in there. Paper supplies, toner, and etc. 375's been almost dead on the spot. When we go through the receipts, postage has been going up. We're DPSST packets we send and all that stuff, and now we're sending, when we repair our turnouts, we're sending the turnouts in boxes to a company up in about Eugene, and this year it was a lot more than usually we budget about $70. It was about twice that this year. I try to keep a current fire code library reference in there, so we kind of scatter over the years. We keep replacing older editions of codes and stuff, so that's the $175. A laptop. This year, DPSST and the fire groups here in Douglas County are going to a total online Firefighter 1 Academy sometime this fall. And also the UCC is looking at going to a total online college, fire college classes, also fire science. So I budgeted for an additional laptop, so we'd have additional workstation here, because the kids will be able to go to college just by coming down here and sitting and being on the computers, and they'll also be able to, if they can't make a Thursday night drill night, they can come in here any other day of the week and get on that computer and access the online training for the Douglas County. I put 500 or so for that, and the only reason was I think that's what we've been paying, somewhere around that for the computer. Well, we need a DVD.
Okay, I'm not matching those up. It looks like the laptop is
I'm sorry.
175.
Well, I'll tell you what, it says right here, and you're absolutely right, so I
There's
can
just a
either go down,
space.
I'll fix
Okay.
that, I'll fix that up for you by next week.
Okay.
Anyway,
Now I see.
and
Thank you.
well, those all best.
I was getting confused.
And then domain registration, Jerry brought up today, was our Lookingglassfire.org. It's
Right.
going to expire, and we have to re-up
The
that.
domain name.
And it's a 3-year registration. So that account is up, and it's basically a computer, and what else? Postage. I mean,
Okay, your amounts, I think, are off the line.
you know what? I'm going to straighten that up
Okay.
when we get home, but I will do that. You guys want anything to eat yet? It's over there. Changes. I don't want to change it yet. I'll fix it when I get it. All right, memberships. Okay, here's about the other large increase this year. So MVC, National Volunteer Fire Council, I have 5 members into that now. We used to only pay for 1, it was me. I pay for 5 right now because we get 2 of them are going up to a training seminar with National Volunteer Fire Council in Portland in June. And as a member, they got to go for free. And that gives them access into also online training from around the country and everything. So our officers are in there now, and it gives them access into leadership training. And right now, we're trying to do succession planning because we got 3 of us that are in our mid-60s now. We're trying to get these youngsters leadership trained. So us 3 had the benefit of being in the fire service all our lives and everything else, and a lot of these young folks don't. So we're doing everything we can to try to get them geared up for that, taking some leadership and supervisory roles around here. So we put them in there. SDAO is the annual membership fee to be in that group, and it's been holding right about $399, $395 per year. Oregon Ethics Commission, I don't know how they determine, but we pay $85 a year into that, and that helps fund when they go after other people, I believe. Hopefully they don't go after us. Oregon Fire Chiefs Association, we joined that as just to have a vote and say in what's going on in the state, but also for one of our grants. Oh no, for SDAO, for your discount on your insurance. If you're a member of that association, that's 2% off of our insurance policy. So that actually makes out, we actually make money on that deal, if you can imagine that. Just like going to a sale. Oregon Volunteer Firefighter Association is an association that they do training, and they're a lobbyist and stuff for the volunteer firefighters up in Salem for us, so we've been in that. Douglas County Fire Prevention Co-op, we used to be a member of that and pay $100 a year. That was canceled this year. It's kind of folded up. Nobody's going to the meetings anymore. It got down to where it's just us. So that was cool. That was, we weren't going to have that. Then this year, the fire blast trailer we used for fire training, UCC took it back, and their college is not putting any money into it. So the Unqualified Fire Instructors Association, which is part of the Douglas County Fire Chiefs Association, it has done they've split up between all the entities that are using it. Basically, we use that and District 2's fire tower to do our required training annually. So our share of that trailer maintenance and operation every year will be $1,000. So that's a new fee also this year. And I have that down there and included it. That gives us live fire, well, I know Jerry was here when we've had that in the past, and it gives us live fire training for the new folks and all that stuff. And also,
How often do you train with that?
we'll be getting it in March of, we get it for a month each year, so. The reason, the fees is it costs $11,000 to $12,000 a year to maintain and certify it because of all the safety junk on it and everything. And it's a pretty technical machine. It's pretty amazing what it does. So rather than, as an alternative, building the structure of your own, or we've been quarterly, we're going over to District 2's tower, the new one they built over there on Melrose Road. But going over there and being out of our area is one thing. I like going over there because it gets some great training, but I don't like being out of our area, you know, when we have all our units over there. So this is a real benefit to have this trailer come to our site. And so that's basically your $1,000 higher this year because of that. Are you guys getting a trend this year yet? We've been laying pretty low the last few years. Every taking advantage of this now. I will say this, we have a lot of good kids and youngsters coming up, and the more we get involved and get involved in the county and stuff, and it ends up being the more that we end up getting involved in the training and the money goes up. And there's a line that needs to be erased. That's not on mine. Materials and services for vehicle operations this year is 9050, and last year comparatively was 8550. So a little bit up, and we'll go through the fuel. We used more fuel this year. We've done a lot more drivers training with our new drivers, and burn a lot more fuel this year just on calls and that kind of stuff. Our vehicle repairs have been holding right at 1,000 this year. So far, they were like 996. So that was a really good estimate last year, and I hope it stays that way. Hopefully nothing will happen in the next few months. That was supposed to go to 2 sets. Let me change that. Our batteries, our units have a lot of electrical load on them when they're sitting out there in the station, whether it's flashlights charging, there's battery chargers, onboard battery chargers and everything else, but we've been going through batteries, probably a set on 2 vehicles per year. So about every 3 years we're having to do it on each unit. So I increased that this year because we've been going in the hole on that part of it. The maintenance and safety checks are checks where we take the big units down to Southern Oregon Diesel, and they put them up on the rack, change all our fluids for us and everything, and check them out. And it's a pretty good price for what they're doing. And it's real important to me that our units are, we maintain them. That's the money that we have in our district, is those units out there. The brush units, the smaller ones, we take to Precision Auto Lube down there, and they change all the fluids out on them. And that's been a little bit less expensive, $650. So that adds up to that. Tires is never-ending thing basically we're doing fleet maintenance here, of course. So a single tire on one of our engines, like that 1030 is a radial Michelin, is around $700 now. And the stock tires on, say, our tenders and stuff are around $600 each. The tender way down there on the end, if I don't need tires on anything else every year, what I've been doing is replacing an axle per year, because or half an axle per year, because those tires, we had them blow out sitting out there on the floor this year, and it was a 1972 or something. It was an old tire. Nobody knew how old they were. So the rear axle now has all 4 new ones, and we put new ones on the front because I don't want any on the steering axles blowing out when you're driving one of them things. They're pretty hard to handle when that happens. So I budgeted for that, plus $800 for any other tire around here that goes flat. And it's pretty, so the $500 extra was actually in fuel. We kicked the fuel up. It looks like fuel's back up to, going on its way up to $3 again, right?
Steve,
Yeah.
does that fuel include anything if needed for the emergency generator if we get it?
No, the emergency generator would be natural gas or propane. We were going to talk about that at the next meeting. Vista's going to bring natural gas to our building for free. And then after that, we'll have to figure out how to, it'll all be attached to whatever. It's going to come out to this corner, and if we get the emergency generator plan, the pad's going to go up on this corner. Facility maintenance and repair. It's pretty much exactly the same as last year.
$50 more?
Huh?
Just $50 more.
Yeah, looks like it. 2055. Benel Door does maintenance on our doors every year. I shouldn't say this every year, but I do, but I'm amazed that we haven't had any more problems with them, because, and just from being from the fire service, our roll of doors, we always had spring break and stuff, pull off the walls and everything else, but, so they come out and lube them and stuff and repair them if they need to. I keep a miscellaneous fee for plumbing, PVC outside and all that kind of stuff. Cleaning supplies and that for the station's been about $100. Paint maintenance, probably don't need any because we have a pretty good store of paint. We are going to be painting the graphics on the station this year to spruce them up. And then we're going to continue doing the LED lighting thing. We're going to start working in here next. I actually have 3 bulbs for in here. We'll just start working our way across. Flags, spotlight bulbs, and light bulbs in the station is about 40. Herbicide and weed control is about 90 a year for Roundup, and if we don't get the county. If the county comes out and sprays for us, then we move that charge. Insect control, we used to have a service. Now, right now, what's going on is mostly, if we have a problem, our firefighters just bring in their own stuff. So that fee, while it could happen if we have an infestation or something, that one's probably not going to be happening. $50 every year for the backflow check that Tinker's Pump Service. Occupational safety, extinguishers, not only the facility, but they also do the ones on the units under this account too. It's $425 a year. Eye wash station, a little preservative, we change quarterly, is $50. We get it from Galls online. And then ADA evaluation repair, we just keep on working towards that every year, throwing some money at some project, whether it's a toilet or a door or whatever it needs. It's not ever going to be a huge fee unless we're ordered to do something, but from my understanding of it, we've talked to them in the past about as long as you're working towards something and do a little bit every year, then you're doing the right thing. That's your ADA plan. And then $100 miscellaneous in case a window gets broken or something like that. And it's right about the same, it looks like. I'm not sure what I increased this year or something like this. All the extinguishers went up.
fire.
Yeah.
Steve,
Yeah.
will we need to budget for any kind of building materials or to bring in a shed or anything? Like if we get the emergency preparedness stuff that I think you were doing.
Yeah, I have that under,
And then for the vehicles, do we need more shelter?
yeah, we have one shelter budgeted right now. I have one of the guys working on it. It's gonna be one of the steel ones that come in. They're about $3,000 for one that's snow, has good snow load and big
So
enough.
is that somewhere in the
It's
budget?
in the capital, yeah, in the capital outlay area.
Okay.
Hold
So
on.
you had talked in the past about just having the volunteers build something. Was that for the command vehicle?
We had that money, and we budgeted last year to either do a lean-to or something, but I believe it, for the same amount of money, we can get one of the steel structures and just set it out there next to the other one out there and have room for 2 vehicles right off the bat. And if we get those trailers and stuff, we're gonna have to have another one out here also somewhere.
Okay, so if it's going next to that, is that going to interfere then with your area, like when you do the drive training and the vehicle?
Well, it's gonna
drive training?
impact it, but there's nothing we can do about it. I wanna keep it back away from the fence and that more for security and stuff back inside the thing. Utilities, 608, we 4884, it went up $100 in my calculation. The phone and internet went up to 117 from 110, so we still have that covered. We got it at 120. Water is the same, it has been the same this year. Gas and electric went up just a little bit, average, and then heating oil, we dropped down a little bit. It's about $300 or 300 gallons a year. And it's going up a little bit, but we still pay a wholesale price for it, so a non-tax price. Is there any questions on that? That's about, what is that, about $60. training education, money on this year, and that goes back to the leadership type stuff and everything I was talking about. And I'll show you where I'm talking about, and if we have a problem with it. As long as it's within budget, I'm gonna try to pull this off. But medical instruction, we're still paying for our medical instructor. As part of our EMR program, we pay the physician advisor, and the physician advisor approves an instructor for us. So I dropped that down to actually $100 because we're doing about 10 classes a year. We have to get 20 or 12 hours per year to maintain the EMR, emergency medical responder, and 24 hours a year to maintain EMT. So at 10 classes a year, we're getting like 20 hours, and then the EMTs can go out and get some additional CEUs at some other place. SDAO training, we used to send people, we did send people one year to the SDAO convention, and it ended up being around $600 or something for two. So what I've been doing now is sending them to the local regional trainings. So they're usually at Cottage Grove, they'll hold them in Coos Bay or Medford, and normally the first member's free and the second member's $75. So if we go to one or two, or if we go to two of those this year, it'll be $150 to $200. There's one in, like I said, this week on human resources and personnel, and then there's one in October for new board members, plus there's a facility maintenance one coming up also. EMT seminars, if my EMTs get behind in their CEUs, their education units, then we send them to a usually like Big K or somewhere down in Medford will have a weekend where they can go down and catch a whole bunch of classes. This area, the next portion here is new, and what I've been doing, the NVFC is holding, National Volunteer Fire Council is holding a training summit in Portland in June, so that's actually going to get paid out of next year if we go. There's no charge to the members of the NVFC, but there is a charge for, it's hotels, per diem, all that kind of stuff. So I'm budgeting $400 for that. It's actually going to be a pretty inexpensive trip because they're going to go up and have a free thing in there, and 2 meals a day, I believe, are covered. The Oregon Volunteer Firefighter Association is holding one in July, so we have 2 members who want to go up to the vehicle extrication one. That's a little bit more expensive. It's about $280 to register for the class. It's a 4-day class, 4 8-hour days, and then also some lodging and stuff. They're going to share a room, so it all worked out to be about $900 altogether with per diem rooms and the tuition. And then DPSST does free classes, a winter school, but lodging and per diem and stuff up there worked out to be about $120 a piece this year for that. So again, I'm trying to do that to get ourselves more involved in statewide training, get the kids real stuff, get them. There's a lot of leadership type stuff, management type stuff, supervisor type stuff, and then training that they just can't get anywhere else. And as long as we don't go upside down on our spending, I want to try to start doing more of that. Burn to learn expenses are for LP. We're going to end up with a tank for our prop outside, plus a tank for the burn trailer when it comes. And that was right. We just got filled today for this upcoming one. May 18th, we're hosting a live fire burn here for North County fire departments are coming down to use our prop because we have one of the only props left in the county. So that's going to be a Saturday all day. If you guys anybody want to come down and watch. EMT training, we do CPR for volunteers and explorers. It was $740 exactly this year for all of our explorers and volunteers. Certifications, EMTs are $150 a year. First responders are $23 every 2 years, and that's next year. And then DPSST, when we hire a new firefighter or train them or whatever, when they get their fingerprinting, they have to pay $40 a piece. So that all added up to that $404. Material and supplies for outdoor props for construction and that kind of stuff, I added $200. If we're talking about building some pole structures this year for throwing ladders against and stuff, we'll get most of the stuff donated, but there'll probably be some miscellaneous material. And then class supplies, if we need any kind of training supplies for some kind of classes, whether it's plywood or stuff that we don't get donated, we need to be able to buy it. And then ISTA is our official textbook that the state uses. So I try to keep a couple of those around here, and we buy them every year to build a library. Now, the current edition is the 7th edition, so it should last a couple more years. So this is up $1,000, and the $1,000 is in the training classes that I'm trying to send our people to. I don't know how you guys feel about that.
Are the people going who are likely to be continuing on for a few years?
Yeah, so it's Justin Fox, Rich Chibwood, Marty just came back from BPSST, and it's the folks that we're grooming to be leaders, and they're the ones who've been hanging around. Yeah, I don't want to waste. I'd like to go one way between myself and stuff. I don't want to spend the time to do it. Sorry to say. They don't pay me enough. 0. Anyway, if there's any questions on that one, escape. Mouse is gone. Everything's gone. Now what? Jerry? Looks like it died. Huh?
Try Alt F4.
Nobody home.
Is your mouse working now?
That's what disappeared. Restart.
He was trying to track that also, and it wasn't working.
I was just trying. Oh, great.
Why wouldn't you control all the
Battery dead.
down all the stairs?
You may just have to hold down the power button for about 5 seconds.
Start again. Take a break.
How's the batteries in the mouse?
I just put a new one in before.
But it's also
That doesn't
plugged
mean
in.
anything. Oh, I saw the little mouse.
It's got
Yeah. Okay, well, wait. I should have done it, yeah. Control K. We gave you full screen with Lieber. Oh, sorry. And then hit escape, will take you right back up. So, yeah, okay, that sounds good. And we'll just escape right back out.
You notice that fire down there on Flowing Lake Valley? You know where Jerry Falucci used to live?
Yeah, he was out there frozen up this morning.
It was so funny.
For the
The
South.
gal Santa went by and she said she could hardly see through the smoke. He's out there trying to put this fire out. And it's growing up the trees and there's this little garden hose. Oh, I got it covered. So I jumped in the rig when she got home and the fire department got there. They had a new brush rig and a couple other rigs there and they're out there watering down the trees.
DPA or Doug's too, or not?
Yeah, I thought we had a brush rig out there too.
When was that?
On the 21st.
Oh, a couple days ago, yeah.
Yeah. They were out there with their little garden hose trying to put out the fire, and it was just going up the trees, going up the trees real quick.
He was out there this afternoon too. He was out there this afternoon too. I thought you were talking about today.
Hmm. They have no fire.
Where is it at?
On the corner of
Right on the corner of
Coos Bay.
Flournoy and Coos Bay Wagon
Is
Road.
the guy with the goat?
No,
No.
Yellow House.
Oh, because he was burning tonight, the guy with the goat. He's
Yeah.
got a big pile, and I look like, wow, those trees are pretty low.
Yeah.
I
Well,
went
this
to-
is right next door to him. We're up a couple of doors up.
I went to
Where
Reading.
the concrete, the guy that does the concrete work. There.
I went to Reading this weekend.
How did you do?
Unbelievable, the fire. I drove around and went, oh my gosh.
Wow.
Yeah, the
Paradise and all that.
I didn't go to Paradise, I just went to Reading. The range, they have 65 acres and 50 of it burned to the ground. $600,000 worth of targets.
Hmm.
And then the houses that were annihilated. Yeah, it was pretty bad. It puts again things into perspective. It was just, you're just looking going, this is unbelievable. I ran into that when I lived in Colorado right there after the fire. And my buddy's parents were the first ones to build a house. And I was in their house and I was looking at the back of the fire. I just never realized there were such big buildings up there because all the trees were gone. But Reading, the problem is they got to bring all clear cut. Because they have manzanita trees. And if they don't, if they burn again, you just ask it for trouble because all the normals are still, everything's standing. And then they had no, excuse me, not as much as us. So any tree that lived, like there's a big pine tree, you know, took it over. Yeah, so lose.
I started a rush on those.
Yeah.
Snacks.
Been busy trying to clean up around my place. I finally got all the widowmakers down.
I have so much to do.
Back, you know where that big trailer's parked, my son's trailer's parked? It's like an explosion.
Son?
Yeah, my son left that fifth wheel parked out there. It looks like an explosion went off back there. I'm gonna have to call the tree guys out and see how I'm gonna get them down, because I'm afraid if I cut this, this one's gonna fall. If I cut here, this one, you know, it's just,
Yeah.
You know, I don't even need this actually, because I copied it over here.
I cut behind my house, and I had top of the drone fell. And, oh, I have little cedars and all that. Cut most, I thought I cut them, and I'm cutting that with drone, and that cedar came up.
it just,
If my teeth worked together, and if my tongue was out of my mouth, I thought, you gotta be kidding me. It's like, what does a guy do in a situation like this? Throw a saw, but I'd have to buy a new one. It hit me so hard, I knew what happened.
yeah.
But I saw it, I was like,
I have my saw in for repair. I only had it for, 30 years. They took it in to get it repaired, because I could get it started. As soon as you did anything, it quit. So I took it in. So I went out and bought a new one. Still 20-inch. And I got the one they laid down in front of the horse barn. I got it. I'm moving on, yeah. So, it's a mess out there. What's so funny, there's so much down, you know, the only way you're gonna get rid of it is, I'll cut it, I'll split it, and I'll deliver it to you when you take it. Well, maybe. You know, I'll deliver it and stack it for you, how's that? You know?
I'm supposed to go get my trailer this weekend.
Oh, really? Yeah, I know where I need to use it, just bring it on down. I need some rock.
Yeah, guy called me on Thursday. I said, I'm on my way today. I said, I got him Friday, because they had to get it delivered. And he had one to buy it, and it was in Portland. And I said, well, I hate to go to Portland to get it, but if I have to, I have to.
Yeah.
And then I said, I'm in no big hurry if you want to order it. And so he called me the other day and said, it's here.
anything.
both axles,
They wanna do it. but what-
three-way door.
Oh, yeah.
So it's this way, this way, and this way, and then ramps in the whole 9 yards. The only thing I gotta build
Something's wrong with that.
is side slides. So if I wanna load a tractor on it without being hooked to the truck, drop the bars down in the back, put a pin through it so it doesn't hook it up.
Kick up.
But I've got about like $250 and I can take it.
What the heck is
Well,
going on down there, man?
Power cut it.
Gary's having trouble with it.
You got ramps on it, you said?
Uh-huh.
Try to slide in,
Yeah.
click on the one that you want to recover.
Or discard all of them.
Well,
I think I'd rather hear it.
I think, Larry, I think
hold
you
my
should
wife,
bring all the
fine,
stuff.
okay. I didn't know that. There's only $130 a month.
For a long time.
And then I kept you.
Click on it, under
Usually
documents,
something like that,
right there.
a year to a year and a half, I paid it off. Like
What do
my,
I want to do?
took me a year and a half.
Pretty good.
No, just
Heck is going
keep
on?
doing that if it,
Now
because
you
it's
enter it,
preventing you
so
from
they
opening.
beat you up.
Alright, I think we got something here. Sorry about what's going on.
Are we back?
Hope so. Oh wait, I was supposed to do what? Shit?
Control shift J.
It's a miracle. Alright. Personal protective equipment. This is equipment we don't get through the VFA grant. Structural gloves, basically 4 pair a year, they're about $80 a pair now. Passports is a system that Douglas County uses to keep track of people on calls. It's a Velcro tag that goes underneath your helmet. Whenever you go into a building or on a fire, you take the Velcro tag off and put it on board so they know who's there in case something goes wrong. We use long sleeve cotton t-shirts for undergarment for wildland clothing. Batteries per year for our distress locators and our SCBA's run on batteries, and it runs about $180 a year for double A's and transistor batteries. Mask bags are the bags to carry our masks in, about $20 to $22 a piece. Mask cleaning sanitizers or pads they use that they can wipe out. It's kind of you pull it out of a container and it all has the great stuff in there that doesn't damage the rubber and all that kind of stuff. Mask repair, we've been, our masks are all, about 2/3 of them are from 2007 when we bought the first big batch of them on the last grant that we got for that. So the rubber on them is starting to go, so every year we're starting to lose a few straps, so we can actually replace that rubber part on there, but it's been running, our repairs have been going much higher. PPE inspection and maintenance, not only laundry, but PPE, these two are kind of together, these last two. We have to get repairs and for advanced cleaning when they get blood, oil, or anything on them, they gotta go to a company up in Northwest Safety Clean up north of Eugene. And that's just the last couple of years. We had a lot of years where we just didn't get anything damaged. Now, this year we've had a couple guys got rips. The Camas Valley fire last week, it was a roof thing. They got up there and they got nails ripped their leg, and one of them ripped the pocket on his butt. So those have to go up there and be sewed professionally. So it's up about $230 just because of the inspection and repair. Just gonna try to cut that into I don't know what to do about this, Jerry.
I don't know.
It's not letting go. Come on. I think it's doing more recovery.
Documents, that was in it.
Oh, great. So what do I do now?
Are they Word documents or something?
Yeah, they're Word.
They're Word?
This is Word, yeah.
Then try just opening up Microsoft Word itself rather than opening up the document and then search for the documents.
So they'll find it off the disk. Oh, I don't have Microsoft Word because we have LibreOffice Writer.
On there, you're using LibreOffice.
Yeah.
Okay.
Is that a problem?
Should be.
But it doesn't matter, either one you choose, it's the same one.
See,
Yeah.
see if you can open the word processor in LibreOffice.
Do what?
See if you can open the word
That's
processor
what I said.
in LibreOffice.
Yeah.
And then leave that open.
Okay.
We're just wasting much
You don't have it there.
Here it is, right here,
If
right?
you scroll down,
That's it, right there.
yeah, it's right there.
He never clicks and it won't work.
It just needs one click.
So right click it and choose open.
Not an option.
Not an option.
It's got a lot of, it's got the ones we already went through.
Maybe that's the issue, maybe it's even slow.
Right click on the file you want to open. And now open with, do you see open? Yeah. Let's see what shows up.
See, it's not looking. Well, it's
Okay,
right
so
above.
click the check the box, always use the app you want to use. So it's LibreOffice Writer.
Open. I don't know, maybe that's what the problem is that. I can go,
Let's close everything out. I want to see what you have open. Okay, right now, there's LibreOffice Writer.
one click.
Yeah, just one. Well, I don't know, on this computer it might be two.
I didn't want to open this problem. Okay, well, I'm dying. I'm dying here, man, come on. Quick access, you got all these other things going on here. What the hell's going on here? Got documents, this PC documents. What we're doing now, let's try this one. This looks different.
They just
Well,
won't open,
Interesting. I wish I had my computer,
Yeah.
I wouldn't have that problem. 6011 fire equipment supplies. I could make up a million of this, but anyway, I have about $200 more. Premix, it's basically power and hand tools, hose and appliances, repair, rehab supplies, which is water, nourishment, on-scene stuff, and then a miscellaneous tool section. We get a O2 or a chemical sensor for each. For our 4-gas monitor that we have that we use for hazmat, they go bad about every 3 years, so we need to buy one. We're putting LED scene lights on all the units now for traffic control and that kind of stuff. So that's been running about $600 a year. It's the same as last year. We have a chainsaw blade for our structural chainsaw. It's called a Raptor chain. They're around $300 a piece. We have one on the unit. We've been using it about 3 years now. And we're going to get a spare, so we have a second one. And then we have some special spanners we need for some hose. The rubber hose on our hose reels. So that all adds up to about $1,845. Last year it was $2,063, so we dropped, have to look and see why we dropped, but we dropped a couple $100. That's
Drop
good.
the miscellaneous.
Miscellaneous, okay. Oh, that's right, because we got an easy up for instant command and just for putting patients under if we're on a rainy call on a TC or something, MVA, motor vehicle accident. 6012 is medical. The price is exactly the same. It's a miracle. Medical expendables are running about $700 a year between all the stuff that we use. We have a dated medical supplies we have to replace every year. They're good for 1 year. That's the EpiPens for adults. AED pads. One of our AEDs has pads that expire about 150 a year and a battery.
What do you do with the expired heavy duty?
They
It's just
get
gonna-
trashed. They're gone. We can't use them. I don't know, what would you do? Want to use them? for
I think
goats?
last year we talked about maybe exchanging ours with another department that uses more than ours. Does that make sense? So if
Oh,
we
you
have
know,
one
we
that's-
were talking about that.
If we
I
have
have
one
not
that's 3 or
thought
4
about
months
that.
before it expires, trade it out with
Right.
another fire department, then we have one that's longer and they have one that they're gonna use within 3 or 4 months.
Everybody used to use EpiPens and the price of them skyrocketed about 2 years ago. So now all the paramedics are drawing Epi out of a vial. We're not allowed to do that as EMTs and EMRs, so that's the problem. But it's just a necessary evil. Miscellaneous repairs for any type of equipment. We haven't had to use that the last couple of years. And then we have one AED that after you use it, there's a discharge pad and the pad itself that we have to purchase. It's at the same price as last year. 6013 is an equipment testing and certification. Includes bench flow tests. We have to do an annual flow test on each SCBA. It's running $75 to $80 a piece now. Repairs this year, because our SCBAs are getting older, our repairs this year ran almost $500 for all the different little gaskets and labor and everything that happened. And that's, they're getting to the end of their service life, and that's why we're adding for that grant the last couple of years. Fit test, there's a new fit test standard where they have a computer that actually breathes air, that you hook up to it on a mask and you breathe off the computer and it tells you how your mask works. That's the newest standard now to fit test, to make sure that no smoke or anything's getting around your mask. So that's a new, that is a new cost this year. Our annual air test for our air is $450 a year for our Cascade system out there. You get 4 tests per year, and they send a cylinder out, we fill it up, send it back, goes to a lab in Florida, they test it, send us the results. It's been doing good so far. It's almost 15 years old now, or excuse me, 2007, 12 years old. Annual compressor maintenance runs $650. The guy comes down, spends all day and changes filters and parts and oil and whatever. That price is pretty competitive compared to the local people we try to find. So this guy he's a retired guy out of Portland, and he does us, Roseburg, District 2, and Winston while he's down here. He does 4 of us at the same time, so he can do it in one day. We don't have to pay for his hotel and all that stuff. So the raise in price is the fit testing and the repairs for SCBAs has been mounting. Has anything happened there yet?
No. We'll let you.
6014 is uniforms. We don't do much with the uniforms here, so we try to give everybody a t-shirt a year, so that when we go on calls, people can identify us as a firefighter, and get them a ball hat also. We have those made at Prince Charming down in town right now. Actually, the t-shirts this year, we did it mail order with a company back east, because it was probably half the price, and they were pretty good quality, so we got more of them. Pullovers, we usually do, we're giving the guys an option of what they want to do for jackets and stuff in the winter. So they either can get a sweatshirt, they're about $65 a piece after we get done embroidering and all that stuff. Or Galls sells jackets that are kind of waterproof, windproof. They're about $65 a piece, and what we've done in the past, or excuse me, 37, so there's 74 now. But what we do in the past, if they want a jacket instead of a sweatshirt, we go halves with them. So if they want one, we'll pay half the price, they pay the other half the price, and they pay for the embroidery and all that stuff. A lot of people like to wear jackets instead of pullover sweatshirts on. Badges, I'm pretty much, we usually when somebody retires and they've been here more than 10 years, we give them their badge that goes with them in a plaque. So as our folks have been retiring, I got down on badges, so my supply of badges. So I got down for 2 for next year just to keep here. So that, money that's up for that is, got a few more ball hats this year, and the jackets is the difference. 6015 is community safety education. It's pretty much exactly the same. We get a lot of materials from the state fire marshal for no cost, as long as we jump on it as soon as they send me a letter. And then anything we don't get for the schools and stuff lately, we buy specific stuff. I try not to buy junk. We try to buy pencils, rulers, stuff that the school can use. So we make up a bag. When we do our annual class over there, they've got school supplies that they can use in the classroom instead of just giving them tattoos and all that kind of stuff. And then every fall we do a special extinguisher class for Lookingglass teachers, do a little training here before school starts. So that costs us about another $175. Huh?
Do you want to sign that?
Thanks, that's good, huh? That costs about $175 to do that extinguisher class, where we bring out a live fire program and the extinguisher company brings out a pan with a LP fire in it that they can control so nobody gets burned. Online.
We'll move your cup.
Just press enter.
I don't have this coming on. Keep going. So community safety and education is the same thing. Uniforms we already talked about. Miscellaneous goodwill expenses. If we have funerals at other fire departments, some of our citizens, if we have a citizen pass on or something, we try to give them cards. If we can afford to give them flowers or some kind of plaque or something, we do that. And it's been running $150, $175 a year. We don't do too much, but we try to do a little bit, have the right kind of cards and stuff. Going into capital outlay, that's the next section on the budget, so that's a separate section. And that's usually reserved for stuff that costs a little bit more, and stuff that's gonna last for a while, more than a year or two. It's not disposable. So I continue to buy cabinets for storage upstairs, so each year we add one, and we move some more storage up from past records or whatever, fire prevention or medical supplies or whatever. And this year I wanna put an AED on 1080. So automatic external defibrillator. It's a second medical unit out, and also when it goes out on brush fires, it ends up that cardiac arrest is the number one cause of firefighter death on brush fires. So we try to have AED on our units so we can stop that. Because us old timers up there running up and down hills,
Just like you said,
playing like kids.
you guys are getting older, right?
Yeah.
You gotta train somebody to take your place.
Once we get that, it's pretty low maintenance other than just the pads and stuff, so. Building improvements was, we're gonna continue working on the parking lot cracks and additional carport. I talked with Jerry before, we were talking about that. They're about 3,100. We're looking at the ones with the snow load. There's a lot of them here that actually stood up this winter for that snow load. Just to shelter not only our vehicles, but we're looking at that state grant for the disaster supplies and all that stuff, and that was part of the deals that we could provide shelter for them, the disaster trailer and emergency generators and that kind of thing. The last one is the half of the emergency power. So if matching grant with USDA for $18,000 or a lower bid if we get it, our share will be $9,000. If you go on the second page, you flip your little budget over. We go into the equipment fund. So there's three funds, like I said, that's the general fund we just went through. The second one's the equipment fund, and that is money that's reserved for fire equipment and vehicles in the future. That's established. We have to review that every 10 years. It's established by resolution by the district, and you can either keep it going at 10 years, or you can disband it at 10 years and move the money back into the general fund or something else. The equipment fund is, like I said before, we're a nonprofit. We're not supposed to be making a profit here or banking money, and not using it. So the way to do that is use a reserve fund for future purchases. And I guarantee you, as time goes by, if we don't get grants, every penny of that will be spent. So I'm estimating the balance, the beginning balance at the fund there at the top at $122,900. Just looking at what we have right now, and then counting the transfer in from the general fund. Right now, our general fund is sitting pretty fat, and we need to take that down because that money in there should not be staying in the general fund, it should be going into the reserve fund. Estimated interest income's been running about $275 a year for our money market. So that money goes into the equipment fund also. The transfer is a transfer from the general fund, which was excess money to budget out the general fund. That zeroes out the general fund and puts that excess money into the equipment fund. We're not going to sell anything I know of. So total resources is $164,120 for the equipment fund. The expenditures, wait a second. I'm going to take that out of there. That AED goes into is in the capital equipment. Is that right? We just talked about that.
Mhm.
Okay, that's coming out. That's not in mine. Okay, we're taking that out, so that will be changed. I'll amend that one. The VFA matching grant, we put in for it again this year. This year we got, the total grant was around $19,888 or something. We can go up to $20,000. This year, what I submitted was $18,788, so our share of it will be $93.94 that we'll pay, and the state will match the rest if we get it. The FEMA vehicle grant, when we started it on this vehicle 2 years ago, applying for it is $349,000. Now the same vehicle costs $408,000. However, the match, that standard vehicle match with FEMA is about 10%. Because of our size, it's 7.5, and it might be less. It might be down to 5%, but I'm budgeting for 7.5. So our match will be $30,600 if we get it like right now or in the next month, which is when they're going to start putting those out next month, supposedly. We keep a $10,000 contingency for any unforeseen stuff in there. Equipment purchase for SCBA's, when we started with that one 2 years ago, it was $86,000. Now they're up to $116,000. 10% match on that is $11,600. So that'll be our point. So the reserve in there to zero out that portion of the budget is $101,826. So if everything happened, that's, when you look at our budget, and here we are, a little department making $60,000 a year in tax money, and our budget down there at the bottom says 800 or something on the bottom of the page, on your budget, total appropriated stuff. That would be if we got the total grant from FEMA at $408,000, and we got the other one at $5. So that's you're counting hundreds of thousands of dollars of grants plus the existing money that we're spending. And if you look back at the past year or two down there at the bottom, you'll find out what happens when we don't get any of those grants. It goes back down to where it was when it would. And basically that's what's happened is every year that money just gets kind of transferred away. How'd you fix that?
So is this, I don't see the grant that you just applied for the trailer with all the.
That grant is a Aspire grant that we applied with. So they, and they maintain ownership for the service life, what they consider a service life, and when it's over, they give it to us. So I don't know how long it's gonna be.
After it's all used up, right?
They own it, so they're gonna.
They restock
Right.
everything.
But then we're making it available for the rest of the state too, in case if they declare disaster, they're gonna use it.
So it's just a place, so it's just located here.
We're required to keep it and maintain it, and open it up once a year. So the grant fund itself is that's the third fund, and that thing stays unfunded. There's no money in it unless we get the grants. So, how come? What are you saying that for?
Control Shift J.
So the last one's a grant fund, let's get is, so the vehicle grant, their share of the $408,000 would be $377,400. Their share of the fire equipment grant will be $93,994. So this is the money coming from them, so that's the only money we have in that fund, that's the resources and the expenditures for that fund. And then their share of the $116,000 for the SCBA's would be $104,400. At the meetings, we've been talking about the grant writing for the vehicle looks pretty positive. I'm really hoping that we get that this year. We've been putting it in for a while. Our grant writer is on the evaluation committee and said that he felt really good about it. He was in there evaluating us, or rating us with all the other departments in the country. I have the SCBA grant for next year. We're going to do a regional grant joining in with District 2, 10 Mile, Camas, and Winston. We're all putting in at the same time. That gives us a lot better chance to get it. So we basically just do our portion of the grant, but give it to them, and we all get in as a group together. So that that'll be the first time that anybody's done that in a few years out there. Anyway, that's all the fun. So if you look at the bottom of that thing, there's kind of a total of what's appropriate and unappropriated funds, which will go. That's the stuff that we'll give to. We'll go on our LD1 and all the LD50s and stuff we file with the state. So like I said, if you look at it, it says $809,000. We're still getting $63,000 this year, but that would be a combination of any resources we already have, which is, right now we're sitting around $220,000 total in the bank, plus, $500,000 or $400,000 for the fire truck and whatever for the other one. It all adds up. Makes us look like we're rich, but we're not. So that wasn't too long.
Thank you, Steve.
Is there, so questions, so like I said, we're spending, if you look at the budget again, our total income, our true total income this year is about $70,000, and we have about 120 or 130. I'm looking at last year's. It looks like. But anyway, so we're actually, if we got every single grant, and if we get the grant for the emergency power, this year we'll be spending about $10,000 more than we would be taking in, which is the first time we've done that in a long time. But I'm submitting that budget that way because that's for the emergency power. And I think it's really important to have that. And we do that, and if we do that and we do get these grants, we're set for probably 15 years again. The last grant we got, the fire engine out there, was 2007, and we're at 2019, so that's been 12 years. We'll be set with the SCBA's and stuff for probably another 15 years, and can stop putting in for that stuff, put in for other stuff instead of vehicles and that.
Any other questions?
So the only thing we're really gonna change on the budget is what we just went over, the E7050 to 9100 is just remove your expenditures of the AED.
Right,
Okay.
right. I'll have that ready for the next time. So if anybody in the next 2 weeks, if you guys want to think about something and want to mention or changing, we can come back to the next meetings. The agenda of the next meeting would be to review all that, make sure I made the corrections. If we want to approve it, the budget committee approves it and sends it to the budget hearing, and that's it, that's the ballgame. But all you guys have 2 weeks to do any kind of input you want.
But you're gonna be emailing the justifications to
Yeah,
us on
I'll-
the revised
yeah, I'll
budget,
I'll
so
finish
that
it.
way we can review it.
So the AED is going to be in capital outlay, not in the equipment, underneath the equipment.
You're gonna ship it out as a PDF.
Yes. My computer will do
Maybe.
it. My computer will do it.
Steve, do you have email addresses for everybody?
Can you guys, I have most everybody, but can you guys do that? I'll get a piece of holy cow, and then eat something. Drink something.
Do you know if there's money as a grant for the,
No, I was gonna ask him tonight.
yeah, I didn't know. I hadn't heard.
I don't have anything wrong.
Mm-mm.
Okay, then we're both here tonight. If he tells us, he said somebody,
Right, and then we spread it around, so.
you know,
Do you, there's an open position on the fire board.
Yeah, while we're waiting for
So-
the chief, if I could just mention that we have 2 directors' positions that are going to be on the special district's election ballot in May. You may have already received your ballots, and if so, you notice that one of the positions has one person running. Bill Starnes is running for his position again. The other position, Brenda has chosen not to run for her position, so there is nobody who filed to run for that position, which means if anybody wants to be a write-in candidate,
Well, couldn't we just write Brenda in?
Yeah. First good idea.
That's what I'm doing.
with a write-in candidate, even if there's only one person, and one person submits somebody as a write-in candidate, they get 1 vote. If they could win
They
with just
could
1
win.
vote if there's no other write-in candidates. But the thing is, the county would then be sending them an acceptance form, which they need to sign. If they do not sign that acceptance form, then we are again without anybody in that position. And the person who is a write-in candidate has to be a valid resident or property owner in the district. You put in Mickey Mouse or somebody else,
Yeah.
obviously, they're not a legitimate voter in our district, so they can't win.
We were in it, we had this happen to us before, and the board ended up appointing a 5th member after the July 1st.
Right. If we end up without anybody as a write-in candidate for that position, then it will be up to the board to ask for people willing to serve. And if we get somebody at that point who's willing to serve, then the board could appoint them. But it would be better if somebody decides they'd like to do that and spreads the word that they're willing to be a write-in candidate so they could get multiple votes. That happened a couple of years ago. I believe, Alan, weren't you a write-in candidate?
He was.
And so he was elected as a write-in candidate.
And he's enjoyed it ever since.
Yes, I look forward to every meeting.
We had like
Do you guys,
3 days.
should we adjourn the meeting before we continue, or do you think business over? What do you think, Mr. President? Or should we want to discuss this on TV?
Oh,
Are there more questions for Steve?
I think he's done an excellent job. Thank you.
Did a good job. Thank you.
You'll send out revisions.
I'll send out the revisions, we'll meet again on the 20th then?
28.
20th.
Oh, the 20th?
May 20th.
Oh, okay, so the-
And then the 28th is if we need to.
Move to adjourn?
Take a second.
There's been a movement, a motion to adjourn, and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
Good.